I pushed the door open with my elbow. Grocery bags dug into my fingers. The deadbolt was turned from the inside. Inside, the hallway. Light was on. That was the first thing. The second was the smell. Not coffee, not lavender detergent. Something sourer. I stepped into the kitchen and stopped. Deirdre. She was seated at my table. In my chair. Legs crossed, elbow resting on the wood like she owned it. Her lips touched the rim of my favorite mug. The one with the hairline crack, only I knew how to hold just right. She looked up like nothing was unusual. "Oh, hello, Marcia." I was just making myself comfortable. I didn't answer. I just set the bags down, one by one, gently. The eggs shifted. One rolled inside the carton. My thumb pressed the handle of the last bag too tightly. I felt it give. I didn't ask what she was doing here. I didn't ask how she got in. I looked at the mug in her hand. Top shelf. That mug had been on the top shelf. "You've moved things," I said quietly. She smiled like I'd complimented her. "Just a few things. Needed space for my tea stuff." She pointed vaguely at a box in the corner. A suitcase leaned against the wall behind her. Neatly. Settled. I didn't move. I didn't sit. She wiped her mouth with the cloth I'd embroidered years ago. White thread. Little tulips. It was folded next to her plate, like it had always belonged to her. I saw the keys on the counter. My son's keys. There were 2 chairs at the table. One was taken. I walked past her. Placed the eggs into the fridge. Closed the door softly. My hand paused on the handle before I let go. Behind me, she talked about the guest room. About how it felt cozy. She said it like she was reviewing a hotel. Like someone who intended to stay longer. I stood in my own kitchen. And there was nowhere to sit. The back door opened with a click. I didn't flinch. Elliot walked in like it was Sunday. Grocery bags still on the counter. Deirdre still sipping from my mug. "Hey, Mom," he said, as if nothing was out of place. "You saw her, right? It's just for a while." Deirdre's between places. He kissed my cheek. Light. Distracted. Already stepping over the line and walking past it. I folded the dish towel. Once. Then again. Edges perfectly matched. My fingers smoothed the seams until the cloth was square, flat, silent. Between places I asked. My voice was even. He nodded already. "Opening the fridge like he lived here?" "Yeah. She just needs some time. A couple of weeks, max." "Did you ask me?" He smiled. "Come on, Mom. You've got space. And she's family now." I nodded. Once. Tight. I didn't ask who gave him that key back. Upstairs, a door creaked open. Deirdre's suitcase, previously by the kitchen wall, was now gone. I walked up alone after they went out for dinner. The guest room door was open. 2 open. Inside drawers had labels. Labeled. Socks, towels, toiletries. Her shoes lined up beneath the window. Her robe on the hook behind the door. I stood in the doorway. I didn't touch anything. Back in the kitchen, I poured coffee. The steam rose. My cup sat on the table. I didn't drink it. The house was quiet, but it no longer felt like mine. That night, I lay in bed, listening to a faucet drip in the guest bathroom, my faucet now hers. I opened the front door because the doorbell wouldn't stop ringing. 3 women. 1 man. Laughter behind them. "Hi, we're here for dinner," one of them said brightly, stepping past me without pause. I didn't know their names. In the kitchen, Deirdre wore my apron. My linen one with the navy stitching now damp at the hem. She stirred sauce with the wooden spoon I usually saved for stews. "Oh, Marcia," she said barely, glancing up. "I meant to tell you we're doing a little gathering tonight. Just a few friends." Wine bottles lined the counter. My counter. The extra chairs were pulled from the basement, the ones I used on holidays. Elliot arrived last. He set down a bag of bakery rolls like it was his housewarming gift. I stood in the doorway. I hadn't been asked to cook, or help, or join. The table was already set. White plates, cloth napkins, the good cutlery. When they toasted, no one looked at me. When Elliot spoke, his words landed sharp. Mom's just adjusting. She used to run the place, but Deirdre's really making it home. Then quieter to the guest beside him. She's kind of the previous owner. The laughter wasn't cruel, it was worse. It was casual. I stood, collected plates, stacked them gently. My hand trembled once. Just once. Then I steadied it. No one stopped me. No one noticed. In the kitchen, I rinsed each dish. Didn't speak. Didn't eat. When I opened the fridge, I saw the list. Not mine. Taped to the door, milk, salmon, wine. Deirdre's handwriting. Curved. Confident. It was taped where my calendar used to be. The one with Elliot's childhood drawings. I'd taken it down a week ago for cleaning. I placed my cup back on the shelf. Tucked behind the new wine glasses back where she wouldn't see it. The hum of the dishwasher followed me down the hallway. I noticed it because the air felt wrong. My bedroom smelled different. Not dirty, just handled. The photo box was open on the bed. The one I kept at the back of the closet. Lid tilted. Corners misaligned. Someone had been inside it without care. I stood there longer than necessary. Didn't touch anything at first. Just looked. Pictures lay out of order. My wedding photo no longer on top. Elliot as a child turned face down. A corner bent where it had never bent before. I picked one up, then another. I didn't look at the faces. I slid them back into the box the way they belonged. Slow, exact. Each one flat before the next. Elliot appeared in the doorway. "Oh." "Yeah," he said, seeing the box. "Deirdre was just organizing. You know how she is. It's better this way." Better. I closed the lid. Didn't answer. Didn't ask what needed organizing in a room that wasn't hers. He leaned against the frame, arms crossed. Relaxed. Like this was already settled. "You keep too much stuff," he added. "She's just trying to help." I nodded once. My throat felt tight, but my hands were steady. I slid the box back onto the shelf, pushed it into the corner, closed the closet. Downstairs, I heard the back door open and close. Later, when I passed through the kitchen, I saw it. The key. The spare key I gave Elliot years ago. For emergencies only. It hung from a shared rack by the back door, mixed in with keys that were not mine. Label gone. No distinction. Anyone could reach it. Anyone could use it. I stood there listening to the house breathe around me. Pipes ticking. Footsteps upstairs that didn't belong to me. That night, I didn't sleep right away. I opened my drawer. Not the one with socks. The one underneath. I pulled out papers. Folded. Labeled. Quiet. I didn't look for keys. I looked for proof. I stood in the hallway, unseen. Their voices filtered through the half-closed door. Calm. Low. Not hiding. "Once the address is stable," Deirdre said, "we'll submit the paperwork. Co-residency benefits are easier with shared mail." Elliot didn't argue. He agreed. "Yeah. Once Mom settles down a bit, she'll get used to it." Deirdre laughed softly. "She already has. She hasn't said a word." My hand tightened around the notebook I'd come to leave on the hall table. I didn't move. This wasn't improvisation. It wasn't desperation. It was a plan. They thought I hadn't noticed. But I had. The toothbrush in the guest bath. The bank mail with Elliot's name. The new return labels on the envelopes in the drawer. I returned to my room. Quiet. Precise. I sat at the desk and opened the notebook. I wrote one sentence. I didn't press hard. I didn't underline. I closed the cover and placed it back in the drawer. Then I reached deeper. Behind the divider, I found the envelope. I hadn't touched it in months. I opened it slowly. No creases, no smudges, just the deed. Still in my name. No co-owner, no addendum, no transfers. The house was still mine. I flipped the envelope once. Then again. I looked at the coffee mug beside it, the same one Deirdre had used that first day. I slid the envelope beside it. Not hidden, not exposed. The next morning, I would begin. Quietly. Not with a fight. With a record. I handed Daniel the folder. He didn't say much at first. Just nodded, flipped pages, read slowly. The clock ticked. My coffee cooled. My thumb pressed into the edge of the manila folder so tight the paper bent under it. "This signature here," he said finally. "You didn't sign this." I shook my head once. The lease was clean. Too clean. Black ink, my name spelled right. Even the curled M. But the slant was wrong. The loop too high. Whoever had done it had practiced. But not enough. Daniel looked up. "They've started a paper trail. If they file this anywhere official or use it to change service addresses, it can be used to establish partial residency." My stomach didn't twist. I'd already felt that drop days ago. "What's my position?" I asked. "You still hold the deed. You haven't signed over anything, but you need to file a quiet title action. We can also set up a cease and desist and notify the utility companies." He pulled out a form. Another, then a third. "All of this is preventive," he continued, "but effective. It's important that we start now, before they escalate." He paused, then asked gently, "Did your son know?" I didn't answer. Just pushed the folder back toward him and nodded. Once. We spoke for 30 more minutes. No drama, just structure. Daniel copied my ID. He scanned documents. He didn't ask about Deirdre by name, just called her the cohabitant. Before I left, he printed a single-page draft of the first notice. It had my name, my address, my signature. No one else's. I walked out of the office into cold light. At a red light, I pulled out my phone, opened the family group chat, scrolled through messages, birthdays, recipes. A photo Elliot once sent of the backyard he now called his. I pressed and held the thread, then tapped delete. The screen went quiet. The notification lit up at 6:12 a.m. Motion detected front porch. I opened the app. There he was, Elliot, standing on my steps like he had every right. Arms crossed, relaxed. Next to him a man crouched with a toolkit already open. Slim tools, gloved hands, no hesitation. I didn't gasp. I didn't speak. I tapped 911. "My name is Marcia Ellings," I said calmly. "There's a man attempting forced entry at my home. He's not authorized. I have video." The dispatcher asked questions. I answered. Quiet. Exact. On screen, the locksmith smiled. Just another job to him. Another lock to break. He slid a pick into the deadbolt. The footage saved automatically to the cloud to the backup drive to Daniel. I'd set it up 2 nights ago. Inside, I stood at the far wall, out of sight, phone to my ear. The dispatcher stayed with me. Sirens didn't scream. They built slowly, first faint, then rising. Red and blue lights swept across the screen. Elliot turned first. The locksmith hesitated, then froze. Commands barked through the speaker, hands raised, tools dropped. I didn't move, didn't unlock the door. An officer stepped into view. Calm, firm. Elliot pointed at the door, tried to explain, gestured vaguely. The officer didn't nod. Another officer picked up the dropped pick tools with gloved hands, labeled a bag. The locksmith sat on the curb. Elliot's face turned red. Not from shame, from disbelief. I stayed on the line, no emotion in my voice. "Yes, I'm still here," I told the dispatcher. "No, I'm not opening the door." When it quieted outside, I walked into the hallway. watched the blue lights flicker across my floor. The door stayed locked. I kept watching. I opened the door myself. The officers stood waiting, clipboards ready, body cams blinking. Deirdre sat on the couch, her mouth tight, arms folded, still in my house. Elliot stood behind her jaw, tense eyes darting not out of fear, out of calculation. I didn't greet them, didn't offer seats. I placed the folder on the coffee table spine facing them. "Everything you asked for," I said. One officer opened it. Title deed, camera footage summary, property tax receipts. My name in bold, no others. I added a second file, this one thinner. A notarized affidavit from Daniel. An outline of the forged lease. Screenshots of timestamps. No one spoke. Deirdre looked at Elliot. He didn't look back. An officer cleared his throat and read slowly. Attempted unlawful entry. Trespass. Tampering with private locks. Misuse of a legal key outside of scope. I didn't blink. I brushed a line of lint off my sleeve and adjusted the folder slightly, making sure it stayed aligned with the table's edge. Deirdre started to rise. "This is a misunderstanding." I reached into my bag, pulled one more file, placed it next to the others without a word. Residency fraud, IL code 765, the cover read. She froze mid-step. The younger officer looked at her, then at Elliot. "Sir, I need you to come with me." Elliot exhaled hard through his nose but didn't argue. The moment wasn't dramatic. No yelling, no cuffs in sight, just movement, heavy and certain. The neighbors watched from their porches. One couple stood by their gate, unmoving. Deirdre reached for her phone. The officer stopped her. She hesitated, then sat back down. Smaller now. The room went still. No apology came. No denial either. I waited. When they filed out, Elliot silent, Deirdre quiet. The air didn't shift, it settled. No one asked me to explain. I walked to the door, placed my hand on the knob, and this time I was the one who closed it. I changed the locks myself. Front, back, side, every door, every deadbolt. Then I changed the alarm code, then the Wi-Fi, then the garage opener. I didn't wait. I didn't ask. I opened the guest room closet, took out each item, sweater slippers, 3 folded scarves still smelling faintly of someone else's detergent, bagged them, double knotted, carried the bags out to the bins. No drama, just motion. The fridge came next. Leftovers with her labels. A half-empty bottle of white wine with her lipstick on the rim. All of it gone. Shelf by shelf, drawer by drawer. I wiped it clean. The hum of the motor was the only sound in the kitchen. Then the drawers in the hallway. Mail. Receipts. A grocery list in her handwriting. I tore it without looking. The bedroom door was already open. I stood there for a moment, not thinking, just noticing. The bedspread was mine again. I opened the bottom drawer, found the old box of checkbooks. Stale paper, faded ink. I almost closed it without checking, but something caught, the torn top of a check. Deirdre's name on the payer line. My address printed below. The handwriting neat, practiced. I folded it once, didn't keep it, dropped it in the trash. By mid-afternoon, the house felt quieter, smaller, like it had exhaled. Nothing had been stolen, nothing destroyed, but the rooms had changed. They belonged to me again, and to no one else. I moved through each hallway, each space. When I reached the kitchen, I looked up. Top shelf, the mug she used. I stood on tiptoe, pulled it down, turned it in my hands. Then I filled the sink with water, let it soak, watched the steam rise. I fill the kettle, turn the flame on, wait. No voices, no footsteps, no sound except the soft hiss of water heating. I open the cabinet. One mug, mine, not the one she used, Not the one he once gave me and forgot about. The one I chose. The one I kept. I grind the beans slowly, scoop the grounds, pour. Steam rises. The first drop doesn't spill. I carry the cup to the table. One chair, one plate, one spoon. I sit. I breathe in. Not sharp, not shallow. Full. Steady. No calendar taped to the fridge. No coats at the door. No shoes out of place. Just quiet. Just space. I sip. The mug is warm in my hands. No twitch. No tremble. Just heat. Then I reach across the table. Slide open the drawer. Pull out the envelope. Thick. Unopened. My handwriting across the front in case they come back. Inside copies. Title. Camera footage. Legal letters. Witness names. The number of the officer who watched me shut the door. I run my thumb across the edge. Not to open it. Just to know it's there. Then I slide it back into the drawer, nestled beside the spoon. I finish my coffee. Slowly. Completely.